Many women dream of one day owning a very expensive item, whether it's the Chanel bag, the Jimmy Choo shoes. A lot of fashion girlies have this desire of putting their hands on something of high value. There's even a whole section of TikTok dedicated to luxury items where you have bloggers and you have people who are unboxing their luxury things and showing it off. It's such a unique aspect of our culture, and not only because of the status symbol of luxury, but also the emotional thrill, the emotional high of buying and owning something of high value. But, is buying something expensive, is that the only way that you can get this kind of emotional thrill? I don't think so. I actually think that when you buy something thrifted that you really, really love, that speaks to your soul, you can get the similar high that you would get from purchasing something of high value and paying full price for it. Hang with me on this. I know a lot of my ladies are going to already be fussing like, girl, it's not the same thing. But I've been doing a lot of research on that emotion. I've bought things that are expensive, and I've also bought things from a thrift store, and I've been trying to figure out what is that feeling that I actually get when I buy expensive things outside of the exclusivity aspect of owning and carrying like an expensive item. What is the feeling that makes me want to go back and buy that thing? There is science to it. Okay, as you all know, I am a fashion brand owner, but I'm also an inner work enthusiast and an inner work coach. I love psychology, and there is a lot of science behind why people buy expensive things. And I promise you, before the end of this video, you're going to realize that a lot of those good feelings, that dopamine hit that people get when they buy something expensive, you can actually get that same hit shopping at a thrift store and finding something that you absolutely adore. The first similarity is the self-esteem boost. Of course, you can already relate that statement to buying something very expensive, okay? A $10,000 Chanel bag can give you a self-esteem boost. Yes, we know, because the fact that you're able to actually afford that, it feels like an achievement. It feels like you are now in a totally different place in your finances, maybe, or you're now a big girl. For a lot of women who buy these very expensive items, it just feels like a big girl purchase. And you just feel like, you've matured into this woman who can make these purchases. Well, I think that you can actually have that self-esteem boost with thrifting, because with thrifting and with finding something special and honestly paying very little for it, you feel clever. And feeling clever is a self-esteem boost. When somebody asks a very, very hard question and you know the answer, especially like during trivia and stuff, and you answer that question, that's a self-esteem boost for you. Well, I feel like it's the same way with thrifting, is that you found something, you've gone through the racks and you found something that's beautiful, and you're just like, wow, and it's only $5 or it's only $8. You feel clever and you feel lucky. That is the biggest connection that I know between buying something expensive and buying something at a thrift store that is so addictive. A lot of my thrift store girlies know this feeling of going in and getting that thing for a very, very low price that you're just like, wow, I can't believe that I was able to get this. Like, this is so special to me. The second connection between thrifting and buying things that are very expensive, as far as the emotions go, is the thrill of the hunt. Oh my goodness. Buying something very, very expensive, you might not actually think of this as a thrilling and a thrill of the hunt experience, but it is, because most people who are buying things that are expensive are not just doing it on the whim. It's not a very, very spontaneous thing to go and buy a $10,000 bag or a $20,000 bag. No, it is something that a lot of people save up for. It is something that you've spent a lot of time, researching what color you're gonna get. You're researching, what if it's a handmade item. You're researching, what the color of the buckles are gonna be, or whatever it is. You're picking out the metalware and things like that. There is a thrill to that, and then waiting to receive the item, and the time that it takes, and you're tracking the order and things like that. That is a thrilling experience, and it really makes you feel excited. And guess what? When you're thrifting, there is a thrill to that experience too. When I started thrifting in college, I would, oh my goodness, I would spend hours digging through just a bunch of stuff, most of which I did not find interesting. But then I would land on something, and it felt like I struck gold. Oh, I remember the first time I bought something special. I remember that experience. It felt so exhilarating. And when I got to the cash register, the lady even told me it was half off the price point. That was thrilling. So there is an addiction to that, of course. That feeling, that's what kept me going back to the thrift stores. And sometimes I would go through and not find anything and go home a little bit sad. And really, I love the storytelling aspect of both thrifting and buying something very expensive. And I think that's probably my favorite aspect, because you all know I like to talk and I like to tell stories. That storytelling aspect is so unique for a lot of people. So a lot of my ladies have gone to shop in Paris to buy their first Chanel bag. And I've seen TikTok videos on women who said, oh, come with me on my first ever Chanel bag shopping experience in Paris. It's such a big story that you got to now vlog about it. And that's the aspect of buying something special, is that it and buying something of expense and high values, that you want to tell the world, oh, I saved up 5 months to buy this thing. There's a beautiful story to it. And with your thrifting experience, there are a lot of stories. And I can tell many stories, especially those stories where I buy something that I saw someone pick up, and they held on to it, and I kind of stalked them throughout the store, and then they ended up putting that item back, and immediately I grabbed it. My thrift girlies, they know what I'm talking about. That is a story to tell. Of course, biggest story to tell whenever people compliment you and you have on something thrifted, and they're like, oh, I like that jacket, and you said, I bought this for $5 at the Goodwill. That is a beautiful storytelling experience, and it is all part of the emotional experience, the emotional connection that we have when we are buying something thrifted or something very, very expensive. So why would I make this video? Why would I go through such extremes to even do the research on the emotions people have towards this? It's because, like I mentioned, inner work is very, very important to me. I don't just design clothing and make clothing for women just so women can just look good. No, I do it so that you can feel good. And what I've noticed is a lot of women feel subpar when they don't own something that is expensive. A lot of women feel as if they are not as worthy as the woman who's next to them, who's maybe carrying a Gucci bag that's $4,000. And what I'm telling you is that you should never feel subpar. You should never feel that because you do not have the money to be able to purchase something very, very expensive, you shouldn't feel as if you're not as worthy as the woman who's carrying that. There is a way to have this high energy, very positive emotions that come with buying things that are expensive without shelling out the dollars. It's just going to take you some time, some bravery, and a little bit of imagination to be able to go into a thrift store and find your treasure. I really hope that this has been helpful. If you love this kind of inner work, deep talk, these kind of mind boggling things, I want you to join my newsletter, Unleashed with Sophia. And remember that when you look good, you feel good.